If your screenplay isn't properly formatted, it will not be taken seriously and it will not be read by anyone that could advance your career. It is very important that your screenplay looks a certain way. Formatting is really important because it's a way to that everyone can read a screenplay and understand what their different roles are. We have to remember that screenplays are a blueprint for production eventually, even if early on we're writing it to get our like foot in the door and get out in the marketplace. Eventually they do become a blueprint for production. So it's very important that we format it correctly so everyone knows what to do their job. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. There are two major softwares that you can use. One's a freeware called CELTX, CELTX.com. It does have paid tiers, but I do want to show you the free tier today. And the industry standard is Final Draft. If you are taking your career seriously and this is something you know you're going to do for a long time, I highly recommend investing in Final Draft. If not, if you're just kind of dipping your toe in the water, CELTX is completely acceptable. What I want to show you is the CELTX landing page. When you first get into CELTX, it's going to try and charge you money. And don't pay them money or do. CELTX, you guys are lovely. I'm not saying don't pay them. I'm just saying that you have a free option. Just scroll down and says, no thanks. I'll continue on a limited free plan. A really important thing about CELTX is that while you can work offline on CELTX, you do need to be online to save your work. So just remember that if you like to be offline to be a little more focused during your writing, just remember to log online to save your work or else you're going to lose your work. Very important. Okay. So you can create here. Okay. I have, let me just go to my projects instead of creating. That is one of the things once you, if you're on a free tier at CELTX, you only have a certain amount of projects you can do. So let's open this one. Okay. So it's going to land right here. I do want to do most of my tutorial today on Final Draft. I just want you to see the look. We have elements here. It's really the same idea. These softwares are very intuitive. They understand how writers really work. Okay. So this is just wanted to show you how you get to the free place on Celt. But let's go over to Final Draft. So I'm going to clear this out. So what we're doing here is we are staring at the blank page. Very scary stuff. Okay. So let's go into formatting and I'm going to do it with you. And then I'm also going to make a sample available down here that you can download. Highly recommend reading scripts online. It's probably one of the best ways to learn proper formatting. IMSDB, the International Movie Script Database, is a great place to go. Just be aware if it's a transcript or if it's a proper script. And also be aware that movies, like there's style issues that have changed over time. So if you read scripts from like the 80s and 90s, there's a lot of camera movements. There's a lot of stuff we don't really do nowadays. But no matter what, it's a really good place to learn how to write screenplays. So let's start how scripts tend to start. Most scripts start with a scene heading. Once we start the new one, notice that untitled screenplay is scene heading. I am going to save it already as YouTube formatting lesson. Final Draft has some really great autosave options. It's going to ask you to save your work pretty quickly so you don't lose stuff. You can set it to autosave every 15 minutes. Anyway, the first thing that your screenplays will do is it's going to start with a scene heading mostly. And I'll get to this mostly. Put a pin on that mostly for a second. Okay. So scene heading, we also call them slug lines for some reason. Can someone comment here and tell me why? I have no clue. You can put them bold or not. That's a huge discussion on screenwriting Twitter. Not going to get into it today. You can do that later. But this is what we're talking about here is basic formatting. Scene headings are always start with either interior dot or exterior dot or both if you're doing, for example, a scene that starts in a car, maybe gets out of the car, in or out. But we're starting here. So let's do interior dot. It's always int dot or ext dot. And notice how it's all capital letters here. I didn't capitalize it. This is the software doing it for me because scene headings are always capital letter. After we do int dot or ext dot, we move on to the location. So where are we? Living room or studio, podcast studio or classroom. Okay. Keep it simple, one or two words. If you have, for example, a whole screenplay that is set within a house. Okay. So I have a screenplay that's 80% of it happens within a house. I like to do townhome dash living room. Okay. You don't have to, just something. Don't do more than two. You can like do the big place. So like school principal's office, for example. Okay. So let's just do this. Living room. Okay. So interior or exterior dot location dash day. Day or night. Okay. In my time, it was either day or night. Okay. Nowadays, you'll read scripts that do dawn, dusk, sunrise, sunset. Okay. This is really important because this is your DP. It's going to read this and it's like, okay, so if it's interior during the day, that's one lighting. If it's exterior at night, it's another lighting. Right. And then your location scout's also going to know where, and your art department, et cetera. That's why, again, we've standardized how to format screenplays. So everyone, the whole crew, knows how to read the script and kind of find what their job is. So this is a scene heading. Okay, you can maybe you can bold it or not. That's another thing for another day, but I just leave it like that. Interior dot living room dash day. So always interior or exterior dot location dash day or night. Okay. When I press enter, notice what's going to happen here. It's going to automatically change into action because after a scene heading comes action lines. Action lines is where you describe who is doing what in the scene. Okay. We always start a new scene, even if scenes are continuous. Okay. They're not going to necessarily be shot in order. So we always need to know who is in the scene doing what. Always, 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 always. No exceptions. Okay. So let's talk about this, for example. Action lines: be clear, be concise, get straight to the point. This is not novel writing. Do not over describe. Give a quick sense of the environment we're in, of the people that you're talking about, and move on. Okay. It's not novels. So the first time a character appears on screen, and the first time only, and this is very important, it's a mistake I see commonly, is all caps. So a teacher teaches a lesson on a desk. This is Luisa, my name, just like in Encanto. Okay. Age will not say, just kidding. It's 37. I'm proud of my age. I have no issues with this. Okay. And then a brief description. This description could be a physical description, even though be aware that actors exist, right? It could also be a personality description, like a chipper teacher who is very tired because of her 2 kids, or whatever it is. Again, read screenplays. Okay. So Louisa, okay. Tall, curly haired teacher that hasn't slept in 7 years. Kidding, but not really. Okay. Faces the camera, whatever it is. Okay. So what's important here is that the first time a character appears, all caps, only the first time. Again, the second time, if you're Louisa yawns, drink some water, okay, whatever it is, notice that this is normally written. Okay. Cameron, her husband, okay, 43, her husband enters, interrupting the lesson. See, so the first time Cameron shows up, all caps. Why only the first time? Because your casting director is going to scan through the script, and every time a name in the action line, this is very important, in the action line is in all caps, they know it's a new character they have to cast. That's why the following times is now written in normal letters, not all caps. Got it? Okay. Now let's write some dialogue, okay? So I'm going to press enter. The software still thinks I'm describing action, but now I want to write dialogue. So what am I going to do? I'm going to press tab, and you will learn this very, very quickly as you start working your software. They're very intuitive, okay? So tab is it knows now that I'm going to tell my reader, and I'm going to write on my script, who is the character that's about to talk. So let's say it's me. I am not capitalizing this. Software is doing it on its own. This is not the same as this, okay? Because this is, I'm telling who the character is that's about to talk. I'm not indicating them in the action line. So every time you're writing who the character that is about to talk is, then it's going to be all caps, and your software is going to do it for you because it says character here. I'm going to press enter, and now it's going to guess correctly that I'm going to write dialogue. Why are you interrupting me? You know I'm recording. Guys, this didn't happen, okay? My husband's lovely. He knows when I'm recording. He's in his office. He's working. And then I'm going to press enter, and then the software is guessing that I'm back to action. But let's say I want to continue the dialogue, so I'm going to press enter, tab, and it's going to say character, and it's going to say Cameron. I'm so sorry, my love. Okay. So this is 80% of formatting, guys. I'm like, no joke. Scene heading, action lines. Every 2 or 3 sentences, give us an enter, even if it wouldn't be a paragraph normally, if you were right, like grammatically. Visually, it's important to have a lot of white space on the page. Think that execs are reading 30 scripts a day or whatever. So it's like make it easier for them by leaving some white space on the page. So every 2, 3 lines, enter, even if you wouldn't do that grammatically, okay? First time character appears on screen, all caps, age in parentheses, a brief description. Second, third, fourth time their character name appears, just write it normally. This is how dialogue looks like. Centered character names. Centered dialogue a little bit wider than the character names, okay? But let's move on. There's more. But this is a bulk of it. Okay? So, I want to talk 1 second about transitions, okay? Cut to. Sometimes scripts start with a transition. They start with fade in. That's a personal choice. Me personally, I don't really use those. I think that's an editor's choice and a director's choice. But a lot of people like them. The only reason for me to use cut to is because, like, look, if we have a scene heading and then we have another scene heading, there's a cut, right? We cut from scene to scene. It's there. It's redundant unless I'm bringing attention to the cut. I'll give you a classic example of like high school movie. The nerds are throwing a party and they're like, no one's going to show up to our lane party. Cut to 300 people at the party. People are dancing on the couch. There's graffiti on the walls, red cups everywhere. Okay. You're bringing attention to that cut. Then you might want to use a cut to. But again, up to you. I tend not to use them too much. Maybe fade in when your script starts, fade out when your script ends. It's totally up to you. So after the transition, I'm going to press enter and I'm back to a scene heading, the software correctly predicted. So I'm going to go interior, dining room, night. You could do day later. Okay. Tonight. Okay. Louisa and Cameron have dinner. It's quiet. That never happens. We have 2 kids. We never have dinner quietly at home. That's fiction. What's what we're doing here. Cameron. Okay, I want to show you something quick. Whispers. Okay. This is a parenthetical. See right there? Parenthetical. Software guessed it for me. Whoops. I don't know how to write whispers. Okay. 1 or 2 words mostly. I usually use it for whispers, shouts, quietly. Okay. If it's more than 3 words, just make it an action line. Okay. You can also use parentheticals if you have a scene with multiple characters and you want to indicate to whom your character is talking to Lisa. Okay. Hey, it's so quiet. Okay. And then I'm going to do something here. Okay. Maya, that's my kid off screen. Mom. Okay. What's happening here? A few things. OS. Okay. OS means off screen. This is a character that is in the world of the movie. Okay. It's diegetic to the movie. Maya is in the house, but she's calling me from another room. I can't see her. She's off screen. Sometimes you see it as OC, off camera. Okay. I prefer OS, off screen. They're a little bit different, but by all intents and purposes, you can kind of use them interchangeably. So Maya off screen, mom, and see, we haven't met Maya yet, but I'm still naming her here and not just putting a name there and not just putting like girl, for example. I'm like putting her name here. Okay. So mom, and then I'm going to say Maya. See, this is the first time she shows up. Maya, age 7, rowdy girl with too much energy, barges in the room. Okay. So no, I don't know how to write this either. Okay. So notice how even though I haven't met her yet, I still used her name here. I didn't use girl or anything because that's very confusing to the casting director and all that. So always name the characters, okay? Even if we haven't met them yet. VO. What is VO? VO is voiceover. It was a good day. I just didn't know it yet. Whatever. Okay. What is VO? VO is the voiceover. It is a voice. It's a character that it's the narrator. He's not in the scene, but he's narrating the scene. Okay. So Apocalypse Now, all these movies that have the narrator, or a Casino, that's where, or Goodfellas, right? That's how it would show up as VO. So VO means character is not in the scene, but we're hearing their voice like a narrator. OS means the character is in the scene, we're just not seeing them. Okay? That is mostly what you need to know about formatting. Okay? This is 80% of it. Highly recommend reading some scripts. Oh, okay. So the takeaways: scene heading, okay? All caps, interior, exterior, dot, living room, like location dash day or night, or dawn or dusk or whatever. Action lines, concise, straight to the point. Give us an overall mood of the place, of the character without over describing. We don't need to know, for example, the exact outfits our characters are wearing, unless it's a very specific piece of clothing that has impact into the story. Okay, so for example, the yellow raincoat in It, I would maybe describe it as that. But you don't need to describe someone's outfit every time they show up on screen. That's what the costume designer does. Okay, but we can give them an overall sense of style. This is a person that wears bright colors or dresses kind of emo or whatever it is. Give us a sense of who this character is and how they dress and how their space is without over describing. It's a balance. Read scripts. Okay, that will do that for you. First time character appears, all caps, age in parentheses, brief description. Second, third, fourth time, they write them normally, unless you're indicating that they're talking in dialogue, and then it will always be capitalized. The software will do it for you. Transitions are optional. Parentheses are short. OSVO. Okay. Any questions you guys have, you can always contact me on the channel, leave a comment if you want to leave suggestions for topics we haven't covered. And again, a formatting sample is available here in the link, as well as infinite samples on the internet. Thank you so much. Please subscribe and share if you like what you saw today.